My name is Kevin DeKeyser. I am the oldest of 3 children. That's us. I have a brother, Rick, and a sister, Pat. As my siblings and I grew older, we also grew apart. Attending different schools created separate circles of friends and interests. I attended Lawrence Tech. Well, it's now Lawrence Technological University in Southfield. Rick attended Adrian College, and Pat attended the University of Michigan. Guess who was the brain? After college, I stayed at home. Pat took a position in Toledo, Ohio, and then later moved to Florida to join Rick, who had moved there several years earlier. She loved the warm weather. I thought I would never have a chance to be close to my siblings again, but tonight I am thankful for second chances. It began on Christmas 2003 in Florida. My family and I traveled to Florida to spend the holidays together with my parents and my siblings. When we were together, the distance between us just melted away. We laughed, reminisced, and talked of our childhood as if no time had passed, and forgave one another for not keeping in touch. Pat and I spoke a couple of times a month and promised to get together again. Then in the summer of 2004, we again traveled to Florida to celebrate our daughter's 13th birthday, and Pat joined us. We spoke of life's happenings while we were separated, and we grew closer again. My children were getting to know and love their aunt for the first time. After returning home, we stayed in touch almost weekly. In the summer of 2005, we invited Pat to join us on our family vacation again. This proved to be a true time of opening to inner thoughts and feelings. It was a time of peace and relaxation after an active hurricane season. Tonight, I am thankful for our church family here at Bethany and how they, unknowingly, were used by God to minister to my sick and dying sister. It was Sunday evening, March 11th, 2007. My wife Betty and I had been attending Bethany, but had never attended an evening service. This service was a special music night. There was a particular soloist, Amy, who sang a song that specifically spoke to my heart as I thought about my sister Pat. It brought tears to my eyes. And at the end of the service, I called my son Matthew, and he asked if he knew the song. And if he had a copy, he could email to me. Guess what? He did. There's not many songs my son doesn't have. So, Patty and I went home and downloaded the song and played it. Again, it brought tears to my eyes. I looked at the time. It was 10:05 p.m. And I asked my wife if she thought it was too late to call Florida. Her reply was, "It's never too late." I didn't know then how true that statement would be. I dialed my parents' number, and my mom answered the phone with, "Why did you call? Did you have a premonition?" My reply was, "Why, what's going on?" She told me it wouldn't be long. I had spoken to Mom earlier in the day and was given a report that Pat was restless, having small seizures and a high fever, and that her condition was continuing to deteriorate. Mom said that Pat was just lying in her bed and not interacting to anything. I explained the evening's events and asked if she could put the phone to Pat's ear so that I could play the song for her. She did. And as Mom placed the phone to her ear, the mouthpiece was near Pat's mouth. I heard her short and labored breaths, and I was crying again. I played the song for her, and when it was finished, I told her that I loved her. Mom then returned to the phone and told me that she would call if there was any change. And we hung up. It was about 10:20. Patty and I sat in the kitchen and I shared what had just happened. I was crying again. As we sat there, the phone rang. It was now close to 11 o'clock. I answered the phone and it was Mom saying that Pat was gone. As Mom shared the final moments that she and Dad had with her, the hospice nurse asked to speak to me. She told me how much the song had calmed Pat. Pat had been lying there with her eyelids closed without any eye activity. As the song played, her eyes began to move beneath her closed eyelids, and her breathing was less strained and labored. She died within minutes of hearing the song and my final, "I love you, Pat." Mom says as she took her last breath, she got a smile on her face and was gone from this world. Jesus said, "There are many rooms in my Father's house. I would not tell you this if it were not true. I am going to prepare a place for you. After I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, so that you may be where I am." Note the promise of Jesus. I will come back and take you to be with me. He pledges to take us home. He reserves this job for himself. He will not delegate this duty. This was the reason for Pat's smile at death. She saw Jesus. He reached out his hand and took her home. The song that was played for her was Untitled Hymn, Come to Jesus by Chris Riggs. I would like to share the final verse. And with your final heartbeat, kiss the world goodbye. Go in peace and laugh on glory's side, and fly to Jesus, fly to Jesus, fly to Jesus and live. And now Amy is going to share this song with us again.